Regular expressions, or regex for short, is a special syntax for searching for strings that meet a specified pattern. It's a great tool to filter and sort through text when you want to match patterns rather than hard-coded string or strings. There are loads of options for the syntax, so it's best to just jump in and get started with some examples. The first thing we'll want to do is import the RE package. Before we get started with the regex code, let's first cover the concept of raw strings. Python recognizes certain characters to have a special meaning. For example, \n in Python is used to indicate a new line. However, sometimes these codes that Python recognizes to have certain meanings appear in our strings, and we want to tell Python that a \n in our text is a literal \n, rather than meaning a new line. We can use the R character before strings to indicate to Python that our text is what is known as a raw string. Let's illustrate this by printing some text without using the raw strings indicator. So let's say we want to specify a file path. We create my folder and point this to C/desktop/notes. You can see in this text we have a \n. Now if we print this out, we can see that this \n has been taken to mean a new line. The \n has been removed, and the end of notes has been put onto the second line. Now if we simply add that lowercase r in front of our string and print it out again, we can see this has been correctly printed out, and this \n has been treated as a raw string. This is important to keep in mind when working with regular expressions, as we'll want to make sure we are using raw strings when working with special characters. Now that's covered, let's start understanding the different regex functions. The first is research. Research is a function which allows us to check if a certain pattern is in a string. It uses the logic re.search, and the first argument is the pattern to find, and the second argument is the string in which you want to find this pattern. It will return the pattern if it's found in the string, or else it will return none if the pattern is not found. Next, the re.sub function allows us to find certain text and replace it. It uses the logic re.sub, and the first argument is the pattern to find, the second argument is the replacement text, and the third argument is the string that you're looking in. Let's illustrate this. We'll start with a string. We'll take the phrase, Sarah was able to help me find the items I needed quickly. But let's say we know this spelling of Sarah is wrong and we know that it should be Sarah. We can use re.sub to replace Sarah with Sarah. So as you'll remember, the arguments that go into the re.sub function are the pattern to find, the replacement text, and the string that you want to look in. So here we're finding Sarah, we're replacing it with Sarah, and we're looking in our string. Once we print this new string out, we can see that Sarah has been switched to Sarah. Let's now go into a little bit more detail about the power of regex syntax. Let's say we have 6 different reviews from different customers about members of staff in our team. We're going to be using the power of regex syntax to pull out different reviews. So let's say we want to find only Sarah's reviews, but we also want to account for the incorrect spelling of Sarah. We'll create our empty list for Sarah's reviews. We'll then specify our pattern to find. In this case, we're going to be using Sarah with a question mark at the end. The question mark after the R means it's an optional character to match, so our search will look for both Sarah and Sarah. We then create a for loop to go through each of the reviews and pull out the ones that match our pattern. So we'll do for string in customer reviews. If RE search pattern to find string, so if our pattern to find is within the string, we want to append this review to Sarah's reviews. So essentially, any review with Sarah or Sarah will be appended to Sarah's reviews for us. Let's now print out Sarah's reviews. Great, we can see that the 2 correct reviews have been pulled out and put into this new list for us. Now let's try something different and look for reviews that start with the letter A. Again, we create a list for these new reviews. We'll name it A reviews. And again, we'll specify our pattern to find. So here we're using the R to indicate a raw string, and then within the string we've got the caret symbol and an A. The caret operator indicates the start of a string. So we're essentially looking for the start of a string and the letter A. Again, we create our for loop to go through our customer reviews. So for each string in our customer reviews, if the RE search matches the pattern to find in the string, we take this string and append it to our A reviews. Once we've printed this out, we can see that amazing work from Sadine has been correctly pulled for us. We can also, on the other hand, find reviews that end with certain letters. So let's switch this to find reviews that end with the letter Y. We use the dollar operator to indicate the end of a string. So here our pattern to find is Y $. We can also use syntax to find reviews that match more than one word. So here we want to find reviews that contain the words needed or wanted. We'll be using the pipe operator to do this. So we create our need want reviews, and then our pattern to find here is R for our raw string, and then within the brackets we have the word need, the pipe operator, the word want, and then outside the brackets we have the ed. So here it's going to be looking for the word need with the ed on the end, so essentially needed, or it's going to be looking for the word want with ed on the end, so wanted. So here we can see one review it's pulled out has the word needed in it, and the second review contains the word wanted. Finally, let's look at one of the most useful and powerful things that regex is used for, and that's removing punctuation from our strings. This is a really important step for NLP, so take care to try and understand what this syntax is doing. We want to create our no punct reviews, and then our pattern to find looks like this. So we have the R indicator for our raw string, square brackets and the caret symbol indicate not, \W means word, and \S means white space. So essentially, we want to find anything that is not a word or a space. Our for loop's also going to look a little differently here. So we want to do for string in customer reviews. We create the no punct string. We'll be using the RE sub function here. So we're looking for our pattern. So we're looking for anything that's not a word or a white space, so essentially the punctuation, and we're replacing it with nothing. So this is just going to remove it. And then the third argument, obviously, is just our string. And when we print this out, you can see the reviews have had their punctuation successfully removed. There are loads of options for regex, and it takes some time to get familiar with what you can do and the power of it, but it's a really useful tool for filtering through data and finding text that matches specific patterns.